It started on a cold, quiet night. Emergency services were called to a seemingly routine crime scene in a suburban neighborhood. But what they uncovered would shake the community to its core. A lifeless body found in a dimly lit living room, a victim of brutal violence. Cut to police officers pulling back the yellow tape, revealing a body covered in blood, a dark and gruesome scene. But this wasn't just one crime. It was the latest in a series of killings that had gone unnoticed, hidden in plain sight. Cut to photos of the victim, a middle-aged woman, smiling in family pictures. The victim, Anna Miller, was a beloved member of the community, known for her charity work and warm heart. No one could have predicted she would be the next victim of one of the most notorious serial killers in history. Cut to an image of the suspect, a seemingly ordinary man in his mid-40s, with a neutral expression. And then there was him, Mark Harris, a quiet, unassuming neighbor. He was a man who blended into the background, a face many would have passed without a second thought. But his past told a much darker story. Cut to a visual timeline with key dates and events flashing on screen, showing a series of victims, each linked by a chilling pattern. The timeline of events begins to unravel. Each victim found in similar circumstances. Each murder masked to look like an accident, a heart attack, or a sudden disappearance. But the more detectives dug, the clearer the connections became. Cut to a map showing locations of the murders and dates in a subtle animation. Anna Miller wasn't the first, and she wouldn't be the last. Her murder was the latest in a pattern that had haunted this town for over a decade. The killer had been lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. And then it all led back to one person, Mark Harris. Cut to police officers in a dark room, examining forensic evidence on a table, including blood-stained clothing and photographs of the crime scenes. The investigation started with a single question. Who was Mark Harris? A man who kept to himself, but had a web of digital footprints that couldn't be ignored. Forensic evidence confirmed what many had suspected. He was connected to each crime scene. Cut to images of digital clues, emails, phone records, and a computer screen with a suspicious search history. Digital clues led authorities to his doorstep. Deleted files, suspicious internet searches, and encrypted messages pointed to one truth. Mark Harris was no ordinary man. He was a predator hiding behind a mask of normalcy. Cut to a tense interrogation room with Mark Harris sitting across from detectives, his face cold and expressionless. As the investigation deepened, so did the revelations. Harris's behavior was erratic. At first, he denied any involvement in the killings. But with each piece of evidence, his story crumbled. Cut to a flashback showing Harris in various settings, buying rope, watching news reports on the victims, and acting nervously at a local store. Witnesses described him as distant, yet strangely obsessed with the murders. His inconsistencies grew, a man who would speak of victims like they were nothing more than puzzles to solve. Each contradiction, a piece of the puzzle falling into place. Cut to a courtroom setting with intense courtroom drama, the judge, the defense, and the prosecutor presenting evidence. The trial that followed was as tense as the investigation itself. The prosecution laid out its case, with damning forensic evidence and witness testimony. The defense, however, attempted to paint Harris as a victim of circumstance, a man who had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Cut to the emotional testimony of a victim's family member, crying on the witness stand. But the courtroom was a stage for more than just legal arguments. It became a place for the families of the victims to speak, to confront the man who had taken their loved ones from them. And as the evidence mounted, so did the realization. The killer had been hiding in plain sight all along. Cut to Mark Harris being escorted out of the courtroom in handcuffs, his face emotionless. In the end, Mark Harris was convicted of multiple murders, sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The justice that had eluded so many families finally came to pass. Cut to a montage of victims' families finding peace, some of them attending memorials and holding candles. But for the families of the victims, justice didn't erase the scars. The emotional toll of the murders was immeasurable. And while the killer was behind bars, the question remained, how did someone so close, so trusted, go unnoticed for so long? Cut to a final shot of the empty neighborhood, the houses dark, a sense of closure but also lingering unease. The story of Mark Harris, the most notorious serial killer this town had ever known, is one that leaves us all questioning the people around us. How well do we truly know our neighbors? How much darkness can hide behind the most ordinary faces? The screen fades to black with a prompt to subscribe and comment. What do you think? Were there more clues that could have stopped him sooner? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories of the most chilling true crime cases.